What's up guys, DrFeelGood here, back again with another video prescription. And today I want to talk about something that makes me a little bit sad. Today I want to talk about the Gamepad. That's right, the Wii U Gamepad. To me, that is the most overlooked, unappreciated, and most innovative features, or gimmicks as they want to call it, ever in gaming. The gamepad potential was very, very high. Very high. Even though not every game took advantage of it, I can honestly say, and I do believe this, had every developer really took time to find out ways to exploit the gamepad and take full advantage of it, gaming as we know today, as of right now, would seem lackluster. It really would. To those people that basically shitted on the gamepad, thought it was, I'm talking to the gamers, you know, the ones that always talk crap about it, that were always thinking it was a useless gimmick, doesn't need to be there, no purpose for it. Typically those are the ones that don't even or never even owned a Wii U, or they didn't own many games that showed what it could really do. And I have a few examples here I will provide, as I do have not one but two Wii U's, and I have over 50 major titles for it. Not indies, but 50 major titles. Alright, let's see here. First up, one of my favorite games in the Wii U, believe it or not, was Splinter Cell Blacklist. That game used the gamepad extremely well. I can honestly say it was the definitive edition. The game was also on the PS3 and the Xbox 360, and I believe it bombed. But the Wii U version, man, I'm telling you, being able to simply tap an icon on the gamepad screen at any time to choose your preferred gadget, sub-weapon, primary weapon, or even a type of ammo if you had a weapon that allowed you to have different types, was amazing. Now, that's not to say that you couldn't do this any other way. Of course, you can do it through the pause menu, or I think the game actually had a weapon wheel similar to the 7th gen versions, but the Wii U version, just tap the gamepad. It was lovely. It was lovely. I wish I had a way to capture gamepad without me having surgery done to it, essentially, to show you just how it worked. But for those that had the game on Wii U, you know exactly what I mean. It was great. No longer having to pause the game or go into a weapon wheel that can be imprecise depending. Just tap on the screen what you want to use, and that's it. Even when using the remote controlled tri-rotor, when you activated your tri-rotor in Splinter Cell Blacklist on the Wii U, the TV display would get grainy and kind of fade out, and the gamepad display would go from being weapon and gadget selection to the tri-rotor's display, its perspective. And literally, you see this little tri-rotor on screen with its own perspective, its own weapons, and of course, using the controller, you would guide it any way you want it. It was great. And when you deactivated it, it will reactivate your TV screen back to the character, and that was that. Same thing goes for Batman Arkham City Armored. When you can choose any gadget or weapon strictly by tapping the gamepad screen, it was magnificent. Another game that I love, Tokyo Mirage Sessions. They use the Gamepad strictly for bestiary information. So essentially, the weaknesses of the enemies, whether you were in a fight or not, were always on the screen. So you could see their strengths, their weaknesses, what they're immune to, what their typical drop was, their rare item drops, their HP, their MP, depending on it was great. It was great. It had this information on screen the entire time. Even when you were attacking enemies, it would show you on the screen what their current HP level was. Even as you're cycling through which enemies to attack, this is always on screen. Even if you're just walking around the environment, you can still use the screen to do that. But if you weren't in a fight, you can use the screen for other things, such as browsing inventory, character information. You never had to pause the game for this. This information was never cluttering up your TV's UI or display. It never was. And that's awesome. The gamepad allowed gameplay to be seamless while accessing menus and or items because pausing the game was not required. You didn't have to pause the game and, depending on which game it was, when you pause it, it will pause the music and just kind of take you out of it. Everything seems seamless. Now, some of you may be thinking, well, I don't like that, while I'm trying to change weapons or something, that everything is still going on in the game. I said, but in life, that's actually very realistic. If you want to change weapons in real life, people around you don't just stop moving. So for me in Splinter Cell and in Batman Arkham City, that was very realistic and it was cool. You never had to be pulled out of the experience, even for a moment. You never had to. In Rayman Legends, it allowed truly intuitive interaction while the gameplay still continued on a TV screen. For example, when you would tickle the big, giant, muscular guys, I think even in the first level, you had to literally give a tickling motion and scratch the gamepad screen to tickle them. But while you did that, you didn't have to also then try to control Rayman to attack him while he's distracted, like you have to do on the other versions, including the Switch version when it's docked. But Rayman will automatically, on the TV screen, attack the guy after he was being tickled. He will automatically do it. Even when you were using the fly thing, I forget his name, it's been a while, the mosquito-like thing to move different platforms up and down and change their positioning, the character on screen who you're assisting will automatically move while you were doing this. They will automatically move and stop while you were doing this. So even though you weren't playing the primary game's primary character on the TV, what you do on the gamepad was just as, if not more significant at times. And truth be told, it was great. It was great. Rayman Legends is one of a kind platformer, and I can tell you it's probably one of the best platformers ever released. I'm not saying it's better than, Mario World and things like that, but in terms of its innovation, I can honestly say it's one of the best. It's one of the best. But another game, Wonderful 101. One of the most overlooked, underrated games out there. But people that have it and played it, they love it. Myself included. Having to draw your shapes on the gamepad, which will activate certain special moves or abilities, was awesome. Now you could also draw with the analog stick, and some people say that was actually faster once you got further in the game. It was actually more efficient to do so. Even still, you had to draw on the gamepad. It was cool. And of course, my most played game on the Wii U, Splatoon. Having the full map on display the entire time while playing a multiplayer game and being able to super jump to any teammate with the touch of their icon on the screen was marvelous. I love Splatoon 2. Splatoon 2 is a great sequel. Better in almost every way. But if you give me the choice, I would choose the Gamepad. I truly would. And I know some of you be thinking that, well, with the Switch's incorporation of the super jump in the map is, actually pretty seamless as well. You're right. It's actually very good. I give Nintendo credit for how well they transitioned from a Gamepad required game to Splatoon 2. I give them credit for that. But still, it's not better than having a Gamepad. It's not better. It's just as good, but it's not better. Having your map on the screen full time without having to pull it up and block the screen you're playing on is great. Another game, this is a launch title, Nintendo Land. Having a totally different perspective than any other player in the room, if you had people playing with you, was fantastic. And those that play Luigi's Ghost Mansion or Metroid Blast know exactly what I'm talking about. Whereas in Luigi's Ghost Mansion, the person with the gamepad was the ghost. They had the whole map on screen. They could see all the other players that were looking for them. But the players using the television screen could not see the ghost. So literally 2 different perspectives. Seamless. I have many, many hours playing that game with family and friends. Metroid Blast was the same way. You had 4 players on the ground and you had 1 person flying the ship. Yeah, pretty damn cool. Another game that was amazing on the Wii U, Call of Duty Black Ops 2. First of all, having the full map on the screen the entire time was good. I love that. Usually on Call of Duty games, they give you like a portion, a very, very small portion of the map on display on your UI. Well, with the Wii U, they put the whole map on the gamepad. So you activate any type of radar kill streaks, you can see the entire map, not just a small portion of it. The entire map. And they also had where you can activate your kill streaks just by tapping on the screen, although it was still just as easy to, to tap the directional button to use it. But still, you can do it on the gamepad screen as well with a simple touch. Another great thing about Call of Duty Black Ops 2, specifically on the Wii U, was no more split screen co-op. Yes, the Wii U allowed 2 players to play on 2 separate screens on the same console. One player will use the gamepad strictly. The other player will use the TV display. Can you imagine that? No more having someone screen watching you to see where you are so they can kill you. That was crazy. Literally 2 separate displays without it being split screen. That was awesome. And they were full displays. Not some half-ass rectangle, but a full display. Of course, the Wii U had the full display of the television and the gamepad was limited to 480p, but still, full display. Full features. It was very cool. Another game that was like that was Splatoon. They had a co-op mode, though not as intuitive or sophisticated as in Black Ops 2. But they did have a co-op mode in which 2 players could play against one another. It wasn't that great. I will admit that. But if you wanted to, you could. Which is the main complaint people have about Splatoon 2. Splatoon 1 on the Wii U, if you did co-op mode, which is offline, one person used a gamepad on the Pro Controller. On the TV screen, another person used the gamepad and had access to motion controls. So it was kind of unfair in that regard. But still, it was there. Something that the second game lacks. At least, in terms of on one console. Another game that was available at launch, Zombie U. That was one of, if not the best use of the gamepad, period. I mean, your entire inventory was on the gamepad. And while you were searching through it, the game did not pause for you. So if there were zombies on the screen approaching you, and you had to go through your bag to find something, your inventory, guess what? It would show your character on a TV display kneeling down to look in their backpack. But the game did not pause. They were still coming at you. So it gave it a sense of real urgency, like, oh man, I have to hurry up and find this, so I'm going to die. Yeah. Kind of reminds me of the old Resident Evil days. But that sense of urgency was really there, especially since this game had permadeath, which once you died, there was no continuing where you left off. You had to start back over from the beginning. But a very, very great use of the gamepad. What next? Oh, a controversial game, Star Fox Zero. Having both the first and third person perspectives running simultaneously was awesome. It wasn't appreciated, but it was awesome. I loved the game. I thought it was great. I haven't beaten it yet, but I do love the game. Bought it day one. Having the first person on the gamepad and the third person wide view on the TV screen that shows a more cinematic experience was great. Showing an actual dogfight, especially in wide range mode on the TV screen, in that type of cinematic way with those cameras was awesome. While you were literally first person in the R-Wing on the gamepad. I'm telling you, that was cool. That was cool. And you can actually swap them. You could have put the third person on the gamepad and the first person on the TV if you wanted. You could have done that. But it was awesome. It felt realistic. It felt like playing an actual flight sim while watching Top Gun or Star Wars. It really felt like that. You could say the game was meant for players and spectators. The people sitting around you in the same room could watch you play on the screen, and it looks so full of action, so movie-like, so cool, while you are there sweating bullets trying to get the best score you can playing in first-person mode in the gamepad. It's funny. People can't appreciate things, even if it's for their betterment. There were even indie games that used the gamepad well, such as Affordable Space Adventures. It took advantage of the gamepad in a very big way for an indie title. Having to switch out your different types of engines and what gadgets to use or which functions to activate, deactivate, all on the gamepad. Awesome. See, to me, and I've heard various other people say this, Shadow Fox, Mr. T, and a few others, that the gamepad would have been perfect for RPGs and MMOs. And Tokyo Mirage Sessions, along with Xenoblade Chronicles X, they showed us this. Xenoblade Chronicles X, you can actually play strictly on the gamepad, which you could not do on Tokyo Mirage Sessions, but another you can do with Xenoblade Chronicles X, it had your full map on the screen, and it had different map display modes. So if you want to change, which, I forget what they're called, basically what type of device you wanted in any location. You could change them on the fly using the gamepad without ever having to go into that type of mode in the game itself. It was always available. You could see your entire map, whether it be the whole world of Mira or just any specific continent. Teleport anywhere. Plant, that's what they're called, probes. Plant any probe you want, change it out anytime you like. All this without ever having to pause the damn game, without ever having to stop what you're doing on the game. You could be literally running to a location while doing this stuff on screen. You really could. I'm telling you, man. Just underappreciated. Having the ability to put all the relevant information on a separate, smaller screen while keeping your primary display clutter-free is awesome. I cannot believe people did not see the advantage in that. Primarily developers. Because to me, it's developers' job to make something attractive, to show the ways it can be used. And when they don't, it's a problem. Nintendo showed it. Now, I will admit, not with every game, but they did try. They tried with numerous games. They didn't just have one or two games that showed a good use of it. They had more than a few. But these lazy-ass developers, like, to me, even to this day, Splinter Cell Blacklist is probably Ubisoft's best design and or highest quality game of the last decade. If you look at Splinter Cell Blacklist, the amount of detail, like even when playing that game, when you walk over glass, it sounds like you're walking over glass. When you walk in water, it actually sounds like it. The shadows, the lights, everything, it makes sense. It feels real. Even the AI in Splinter Cell Blacklist, it wasn't actually that bad. It actually wasn't dumb. At least not too dumb. You look at games today, it's terrible. But that's a different topic for a different video. Maybe. But even the apps, Netflix on the Wii U is awesome. In the beginning, they had it to where it would display the movie or show you're watching on the TV, and the gamepad would show just the information of it, like the name of it, the rating, a description of it, and your current positioning within the film, which you can use a slider to fast forward, rewind, or whatever. But it had the information on the gamepad. Of course, you can swap the two. But let's say you gave the gamepad to your child and they went to a different room. Well, you can still see what they're watching on the TV. It had it on display full time. But now they have it to where it displays to both the TV and the gamepad simultaneously, which is also cool because now Netflix has where when you pause the movie, it shows all the information on the display anyway. But still, you mean to tell me it can display to two devices at the exact same time, the TV and the gamepad? Wow. Who else does that? Who else can display something on two different displays simultaneously without having to use, any type of extra equipment? Even for Amazon, you watch a movie on the TV and on the gamepad, which you can swap the two, but on the gamepad it will show stuff like the cast members, the director, producer. You can click on them individually, look up information, all these things, all while within the app. You're not leaving the app at all. The movie is still playing. It doesn't pause. I love that. I love it. Same thing with Hulu. The gamepad was it was an awesome idea. It was a great gimmick. If you want to use that word, fine. It was a great gimmick. To me, it is probably the most innovative feature in gaming ever. And yet, you know what's so funny? Most gamers won't see or realize this until much later. Now that the Wii U's dead, Switch is out, Watch. In a few years' time, people are going to start seeing the benefits of the gamepad, and they're going to want it back. Well, I hate to tell you this. It may not ever be coming back. You can blame yourself for that, man. You let resolution and you let these developers talk this bullshit to you. But I'm serious when I say I miss the gamepad. Now, I still have my 2 Wii U's. Both of them work flawlessly. But I hate the fact that I probably won't ever get to play any games that will offer me an asymmetrical experience. I hate that. I hate that so much. And Nintendo, if you're listening, I'm one of the few that really did truly appreciate the gamepad in all of its glory. Everything about it. The resolution didn't even bother me. The 480p, that didn't bother me at all. Now I think for games such as Xenoblade Chronicles X, it was kind of useless because all that small text, 480p just wasn't enough, but that's neither here nor there. But this is someone who is telling you, I would love to see this asymmetric gameplay feature come back. I really would. I hope it comes back for the Switch. I really do hope so. And of course, there are other games that I have not mentioned today that take advantage of, but I didn't want to go through every single game. These are just the ones I could think of off the top of my dome. But anyway, let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. Tell me whether or not you miss the gamepad, will miss it. Maybe you don't. I don't know. I just know for me personally, I'm going to miss asymmetric gameplay going forward. I hope it makes a return, but I don't think it will because it was like Jesus. It was unappreciated. I can literally see Nintendo right now or the gamepad saying, forgive them, for they know not what they do, they know not what they say. I know that's probably a terrible analogy, but I feel that way. It's a feature that we're going to regret not having it at one point or another down the line. But that's all I have for today. As I always say, keep it gaming.